prepare to be slapped in the face with the cold, hard hand of science. Every year, we go through the NFL draft and we see all these teams that made the playoffs. They litter the first round with all these draft picks, and then they restock the cupboards, and it's like that again the next year. But class is in session. We have class on Sunday night here at Pate State, and it's not an opinion class, okay? It's not a philosophy class. This is hardcore science. What if I told you we don't really even need to play the season? We already know who's going to play in the national championship game. Would you be interested? Yes, you would. Follow me here. Again, not my opinion, science. The past 3 years, 75% of the final 4 teams in the playoff went on to be top 5 in first-round draft selections. Let me state it again. If you were in the final 4 of the playoff, you were 75% of the time about to go on to be one of the top 5 teams in first-round draft selections. So, not so shockingly, strong correlation between having the best players in the country and making the Final 4 in the playoff. That all makes sense so far. Okay, but here's what you're probably thinking. What does that have to do with this upcoming year's college football playoff? Because the draft is going to happen after the playoff. So how are we supposed to know who's going to get drafted? How are we supposed to know how many teams are going to have how many first-round draft picks? That's where the science comes into play, in the form of mock drafts. And we got several of them. We have accumulated, or rather acquired, an accumulation of first-round mock drafts. Cooper Pategna's on the hook over CBS. Jordan Reed at ESPN, he's on the hook tonight. Dane Brugler from The Athletic. Brendan Donahue from Sharp Football. We have taken their first-round mock drafts, and we have wadded all of them up, respectfully, because we had to put them in a blender. We turned the blender on. Minute or so, turned it off, poured it out, took the average of those mock drafts, and what it provided us was pretty shocking, Jesse. Well, not really if you follow recruiting and portaling, but it was pretty shocking in that it's crystal clear, according to science, not us, who's going to play for the national championship this year. Now, I know some of you have kids at home, and some of you yourselves are kids at heart, and you don't want this spoiled for you. So if you don't want to know who's going to play in the national championship game this upcoming year, I rarely tell you to do this, but this is probably where you want to skip ahead. So I'm giving you a fair warning on spoiler alerts here. 3, 2, 1. If you're still here, I assume that means you want to know who's going to play in the national championship game this year, as proven scientifically by first-round mock drafts. 2 teams rose above the pack. One of those teams is the University of Texas, and their counterpart in the national championship game will be the University of Oregon. Texas, in the mock draft scientific community right now, averages 4.25 first-round draft selections for this upcoming cycle, and Oregon is close behind with 3.75 first-round picks on average this upcoming cycle. Texas versus Oregon, the all-time nightmare college football national championship game for the cannot crowd. Because for everyone who tells me Steve Sarkisian cannot win a national championship game, I've got someone over here on the other side of the fence that tells me, oh yeah, well what about Dan Lanning? He can't win one either. And it is a fact that if they play each other, unless there's like a white flag parlay situation early fourth quarter, someone's got to win a national title. Quick 5-second timeout. Check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It keeps it free. We love you. All right, back to the show. So that's going to be the matchup. Now, if you happen to think that maybe Cooper Pategna screwed up, maybe Jordan Reed screwed up, because that's all that could happen here. At this point, if it's not Texas versus Oregon, it's because either players, coaches, officials, or mock drafters screwed up. Certainly not on us. We want the credit. We don't want the blame. But you might be wondering, in the very, very remote chance that it's not Texas versus Oregon, who were some of the other college football playoff favorites? How does their projection in the first-round mock draft average look? Well, LSU had about 2.5 players on average. Bama and Notre Dame, 2.25. Georgia's right there at 2. Ohio State, man. Ohio State and Indiana. Well, with good reason, all their guys just got taken, so they're going to have younger rosters this year. Ohio State, Indiana, 1 3/4. Is Ohio State's icon green, Jesse? What happened to them? What is that on? Did Arthur Smith bring a new color palette in? Got a new SID up there. Jerry Emig, did he take the color palette with him? Anyway, Bradley, put that old graphic back up. I wasn't even done yet. Throw me back the slider with the averages on it. Ohio State and Indiana were at 1.75. Miami, Ole Miss, about 1.5 per piece. South Carolina is in this. So if you're listening over there and all hope is lost over in Myrtle Beach, no, it's not. First off, you're in Myrtle Beach in May. Secondly, South Carolina's right there with the Miamis and Indianas and Ohio States of the world. In fact, hear me tonight, not according to me, but according to the Cooper Patagnas and Jordan Reeds and Dane Bruglers and Brendan Donahues of the world, essentially a quote from them, South Carolina and Miami are the same thing. Essentially, that is a quote from them as evidenced in their mock draft. Texas A&M, 1 total. Yet they have the 8th best odds to win it all. Michigan and USC sitting right there at about 1 apiece on average. Oklahoma and Texas Tech a little bit lower than that. Tennessee and Penn State, goose egg. Jesse, is that true? You're going to have no guys drafted? Rocco Beck's about to dunk on every one of y'all. And look, this is a big if, but if you feel like disagreeing with science, be my guest. How has that worked out in history? But if you want to disagree with science, you can go over to FanDuel right now and you can bet against everything I just said. You can absolutely bet Tennessee to win the national championship if you want to. And if it pans out for you, what a story you'll have to tell. What a story you'll have to tell. FanDuel, the exclusive odds provider of the show. We appreciate them. Talked a lot with FanDuel this week, and we do every week because we're in pretty constant communication with them. I mean, it won't be too long from now that I'll be hitting FanDuel Mike up saying, hey, putting together the JP poll for tonight. Out of curiosity, what would Minnesota versus, Florida State be on a neutral field? Whomst amongst us hasn't ever wondered about that matchup? Every Saturday, I wake up, and before I even put my contacts in, I use one eye, and I scroll, index finger like this, through the iJosh, and I find the cornfield picture. And I tweet it out with a reminder of how many Saturdays we are from college football season. Alex and allegedly producer Jesse, allegedly, looked at that and said, well, if that means college football is coming eventually, and we've got the Pate State store over here just sitting there with infinite amounts of shelf space, why shouldn't we put representation about college football approaching in the store? And then they found out that Savannah State has recently gotten me to watch Game of Thrones. Very recently. It's a new thing. I don't know what to think about it yet. But what I do know is whatever winter is coming means is of secondary concern to me at the moment. Because college football coming is of primary concern. And as you can see here, we have brand new items, not merch, items in the Pate State store to signify that. Football is coming, ladies and gentlemen. It will be here. Now, in the meantime, we can have a lot of fun. Just a sun-filled, vacation-filled summer. And there's also a new shirt for the Pate State Summer Series, which is just made up right now. But yeah, we got 2 new items in the Pate State store, PateStateMaterial.com. Jesse predicts that the Football is Coming shirt will be our biggest mover of the month. I think you've got an unfair advantage because it's a new item, so I'm not betting him on it. But yeah, I already bought the sleeveless version. I had Alex make sleeveless versions, by the way. I know our audience. Jesse may not lift, but our audience lifts.